If you love to grow vegetables in your own garden, you're probably one of the gardeners that will go out and buy seedlings. I can tell you that growing your own vegetable plants from seed is really very easy indeed, and you'll certainly save a great deal of money. Now, pretty much all the vegetables that you might want to grow in your garden, you can grow very easily from seed. Now, if the seed is large like it is for these bean seeds, it's pretty straightforward. Go through and put the seeds out. Now, all seed, regardless of the size, contains the same basic structure. It contains an embryo or a baby plant inside. It contains a food store. It contains this little structure where the seed itself was placented on the inside of the fruit. It also contains this little structure. You can see a little pink dob at the end there, which is a thing called a micropyle, which is the area that takes up moisture. In any case, it doesn't much matter as long as you sow the seed correctly. Now, a larger seed like this, you can just go through and just poke into the ground, put them in about 1 centimetre or so down into the ground, and they'll germinate in about 7 to 10 days. Now, I'm putting these about 5 centimetres apart or thereabouts. These are dwarf bean seeds, so my aim in this planter is to have them growing out and over the edge of the planter itself. I'll probably put in about 2 rows, and one of the great advantages of growing your own plants from seed is that you can put in the number of plants that you need rather than the number which come in a punnet. So I'm going to put in about a dozen or so bean seeds in this case. For very much smaller seeds like onion seeds, I think it's easier to use a guide like sand as a means of spreading the seed. So I've got the onion seed from the pack, and as you can see, the seeds themselves are not terribly small, but it's just a little bit easier if they're mixed with sand to spread them evenly over the area. So I've got about a few millimetres of sand at the bottom of the jar here, as you can see. Put the lid on and just incorporate the seeds thoroughly through the sand, like that. Then you can use the sand as a guide as to how far apart you're spreading the seeds. Now I'm going to put them into the end part of this planter. The idea is that we go through and sprinkle the sand over that area, and the theory being that the seeds will be evenly distributed. You can see where the seeds have gone by where the sand is. It makes it far easier than trying to spread the seeds by hand and getting them evenly spaced throughout. So we now know that area there should have an even coverage of seed. We then just slightly cover that with soil or with potting mix in this case. For fine seed, about a 1mm or 2mm covering is just fine. If there's one group of plants which I think you should definitely grow from seed, you know, the root vegetables, things like carrots and radish particularly, are plants that need to be grown from seed. And the reason for that is quite straightforward. The seeds, as they germinate, produce a taproot which goes down. In the case of a carrot seed, you want that taproot to be as nice and straight and as deep as possible. If you do grow carrots from seedlings, very often that carrot root will be bent and you'll end up with deformed carrots and not decent crop at all. And again, they're reasonably straightforward to do. I've made a run of 4 rills for the seeds to fit inside, and I'm going to try and place those seeds reasonably even throughout. So I'm going to do this by hand, but you could use the sand method again. As you can see, those seeds are sitting inside the rills in those 4 rills. Now, I've got enough seed there to do probably another 3 or 4 crops, so 1 packet of seeds will certainly go a long way. You then need to cover those seeds over lightly. Could use a little bit more mix, I'm just using my hand to do that. And then give these a very light soaking and they will certainly germinate. Once your seed does begin to grow, it is important to have a look and see how densely they are packed. Now, I've got some beetroot which I've sowed 3 or 4 weeks ago, and as you can see, there's a whole heap of seeds have come up pretty close together, and those beetroot won't develop properly unless we go through and thin them out. And the process is really quite straightforward. We just go ahead and pick out every 2nd or 3rd seedling. See, that one there is growing way too close, we'll take that one out. And that will allow the developing beetroot to grow to the right size and to be large enough to be useful. Now, that thinning process will have to happen to these carrots as they begin to grow, so we don't end up with carrots right on top of each other and end up with very small, very thin carrots that really have no use at all. Anyway, if you are looking at growing your own vegetables, it is a lot easier than a lot of people think to grow your own plants from seed.